Excellent. Welcome to the new early warning Buster. Welcome to the new revolution in innovative new NGO apps to improve our service. We're going to be looking into how to use the early warning Buster today. We're not going to be talking about the index. We're not going to be talking about the theory behind the tool, nor the reason why we've chosen the indicators or the triggers. This is going to be a guided tour on how to use it. If you want to get the answers to some of those questions, then you will simply click the Welcome Page tab at the bottom here, and some of those questions will be answered in the Welcome Page. So you'll see here also the warning trend and population at risk table, and it will explain how that works. But let's get back to business. The first thing you're going to do in this tool is to put in your country name. In this case, I'm just going to call it the Early Warning and Early Action System for DRC. And we're going to now move into step 1. Now you'll see that this tool is composed of a 4-step process, which will end up with your Early Warning and Early Action report. Now each step is clearly described as you walk through the process. So step 1 is to complete the dashboard. Now the dashboard guides you through a systematic checklist of indicators, and you select yes or no against the statement that best provides your situation. And I highly recommend that you write notes in the spaces provided so that people will know why you have selected the choices that you've made. The normal status is the default, so you'll only start to trigger indicators from watch onwards. So let's proceed directly to step 1, which is the early warning and declaration dashboard. And this is the heart of the tool. The first thing you're going to do, and you'll only have to do this once, is to put in your country population. So let's say in this case it's 40 million. On a monthly basis, most importantly, is to put in a figure for the number of people that might be affected or are being affected by the emerging situation, if indeed there is one. So in this case, I'm going to say that we are actually already quite deep into a developing situation, and I'm going to give us a population at risk of 1.5 million. Yeah, you can write in some notes to justify that, whether it's a secondary source or from your field level estimates, and you can write in your data source there. Now all that remains to do is to simply run through the rest of the dashboard and trigger off the statement that fits your situation. In this case, I'm saying that we are moving into a drought, or a drought has already emerged and people are being affected. And we're going to say the rains, let's say there was an early onset to the dry season, and that was so early that it caused massive crop failure, and as a result, global acute malnutrition has risen alarmingly into emergency levels. I'm just going to leave it there for now, but there's a whole lot of indicators to choose from, which you can peruse at your own in your own time. Safe to say at this stage that the color coding relates to the level of risk. So red relates to emergency. If we had selected this one, you'll see that it relates to warning, and the yellow one's related to watch. You can read more about the theory of this on the home page. So once we're satisfied we've completed the dashboard, we click here. Now on this table we can see that the index has already been calculated for us at 459 and a population at risk of 1.5 million. An emergency declaration has been recommended, and we need to decide whether we want to act upon that or not. So let's say in this case we are actually going to move ahead with a declaration. And I'm satisfied with this, and I'm going to select step 2, which will automatically place my data into the month against which I'm reporting. So this is a report for September. Now we move on to our programming design choices. This is a very interesting and innovative part of the tool, as it gives you a pre-selected list of programming sectors, subsectors, outcomes and activities that relate to the hazards which have been automatically identified as a result of the triggers you have selected. So let's proceed to step 3. Now, depending on the situation that you have identified in your dashboard, a statement will be given here. And this will recommend what programming types you should consider. So we have a little instruction here: select your program type, and in this case we want to select from either DRR, preparedness, response, or recovery. I'm going to choose response because we're in emergency. And then we run through the list of subsectors and choose what our office is best qualified to implement against. And so we're going to choose from health and nutrition now, and let's say we want to work in food transfers. So I'm going to select food transfers and proceed to step C. Now this generates a list of ideas under food transfers, and I'm going to select yes, we want to do food transfers. We have good capacity in that area. And because there's high malnutrition, we want to do some CMAM programming. You'll see me selecting whether this is going to be for a primary response or a mainstream type response. Because it's a very widespread emergency, we're also going to do general food distribution to try and stabilize the food security situation of the community. And that's what we want to do under food transfers. Let me go back to the choices menu. I'm going to reset. You have to do that each time you have completed a subsection. And now we want to move on to some WASH programming. This is just one more example. We're going to do some hygiene promotion. Again, it generates a list of ideas against hygiene promotion, and let's say at this stage we want to do mainstreaming as part of our other programming. So we want to improve, for example, the provision of life-saving information, and that's what we're going to mainstream at this time. Now, as you move through this list, you can generate a selection of what you have chosen to date, and this gives you a report, which is a way of just taking check of what you think you are possibly going to be doing, and to see whether you're being over-ambitious or under-ambitious in relation to the resource levels you're expecting to generate or the capacities in your office. To return to the hygiene promotion, which was your last choice, you simply click on that button below. So now we're going to go back to our choices menu, and I'm going to say that we are happy now with what we've selected, although you would most likely go through the whole list. And I want to generate our final early warning and early action report. And this is it. We have a graph that generates month by month. You're going to use the same file each month, so that this graph will show you how your warning trend has escalated or declined over time. So you can see we've moved rapidly from a normal situation through watch, warning, and into emergency from August onwards. Based on the triggers you have identified, it will automatically generate a hazards list, the hazards you're most likely to need to account for. And then, based on the information you've provided, the tool will give you a list, a semi-intelligent list of actions to take and decisions to make from a national office level, a regional office, global center, and support office level. Now, against these statements, you can select whether they have not started or they're not relevant, they completed or they're ongoing. If it's not relevant, for example, just select not relevant, and you can select all actions, active actions here, which will select out for you just those that are ongoing or non-started but relevant. If you want to see the complete list, you select all actions. But to make the report short and succinct, you can select only active actions and run through that list. Remember, you need to justify, or maybe need to justify at the end, why you have selected what you have. I've got quite a number of comments built into the boxes which give additional details that could be interesting for you as you start to execute these recommended processes. Finally, at the bottom of the report, we have a summary of your program choices. Now, to see your full response strategy, you simply select this button and see all your programming choices, and this gives you a report of what you are planning to program against. So let's once again return to our early warning report, and this concludes our semi-intelligent, algorithm-loaded early warning and early action report. Welcome to the new revolution.